Thanks for joining me for Storytime today. All of our stories today are going to be about snow and snowmen. Let's start with the first book. The first book is titled Snowmen at Night. He's got on his winter clothes and looks like he's making a snowman. One wintry day, I made a snowman, very round and tall. The next day, when I saw him, he was not the same at all. His hat had slipped, and his arms drooped down. He looked a fright. It made me start to wonder, what do snowmen do at night? I think snowmen start to slide when it gets really dark, off the lawn and down the street, right into the park. They gather in a circle while they wait for all the others, sipping cups of ice-cold cocoa made by the snowman mothers. Then the snowman games begin. They line up in their places, each one anxious for his turn in the snowman races. After everyone has had a chance at racing once or twice, they go on over to the pond to do skating tricks on ice. Sometimes they start giggling, and then they act like clowns. They bump into each other till they all fall down. They gather up their snowballs, the pitcher takes his aim, and underneath the moonlight sky, they play a baseball game. No one knows just how it started, but soon it's quite a sight, with snowmen throwing snowballs in the world's best snowball fight. Then it's time for sledding. It's a wild ride down the hill. That's a really big hill. Wahoo, they yell. This, by far, the snowman's biggest thrill. Finally, they're tuckered out and getting sleepy, so they slowly gather up their things, and one by one they go. So, if your snowman's grin is crooked or he's lost a little height, you know he's just been doing what snowmen do at night. I didn't know that snowmen did all of those things. Look, these are swinging. I didn't know that. Goodness. Well, we are going to use our fingers and we're going to count to 10. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have 10 snowmen, all in a row. Each one is wearing a pretty bow. You see their bows? They're all different. So we're going to start with 10, and each time we say our rhyme, we're going to go backwards, one number. So if we have 10, and we take away 1, how many do we have? Are you ready? 10 little snowmen standing in a row, each one wearing a pretty bow. Out came the sun and it shines all day, and one little snowman melts away. How many snowmen do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 little snowmen standing in a row, each one wearing a pretty bow. Out came the sun and it shines all day, and one little snowman melts away. How many do we have now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 little snowmen standing in a row, each one wearing a pretty bow. Out comes the sun and it shines all day. One little snowman melts away. How many do we have now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7. All right, 7 little snowmen standing in a row, each one wearing a pretty bow. Out comes the sun, and it shines all day. And one little snowman melts away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 little snowmen standing in a row, each one wearing a pretty bow. Out comes the sun, and it shines all day. And one little snowman melts away. How many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 little snowmen standing in a row, each one wearing a pretty bow. Out comes the sun, and it shines all day. And one little snowman melts away. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 little snowmen standing in a row, each one wearing a pretty bow. Out comes the sun, and it shines all day. And one little snowman melts away. 1, 2, 3. 3 little snowmen standing in a row, each one wearing a pretty bow. Out comes the sun, and it shines all day. And one little snowman melts away. 1, 2. 2 little snowmen standing in a row, each one wearing a pretty bow. Out comes the sun, and it shines all day. And one little snowman melts away. 1 little snowman standing all alone. He is wearing a pretty bow. Out comes the sun, and it shines all day. And that little snowman melts away. No little snowmen standing in a row. What are we going to do? Looks like we need more snow. Whew, you did it. That's a good job. We went from 10 and counted all the way down to 1. Good job. The next book we are going to do is a silly book. I like silly books. Do you like silly books? This is called Winter Woes. Woes are troubles. So he has winter troubles, winter woes. He has all of his snow clothing on. I see a hat and mittens and all of these things because it gets very cold when it's snowing. So winter woes. By Marty Kelley. It's snowing, hooray, hooray. I'll go outside and I'll play all day. I'll put on my mittens and tie my scarf tight. I'll wear woolly socks so I don't get frostbite. I'll put on my hat and my boots for the snow. I'll put on my coat and then I'm ready to go. He looks very cold. But what if I put on all of that stuff and I get outside and I'm not warm enough? I might get cold, I might get wet, but that's not as bad as my day could get. Uh-oh. What if I'm running to go play outside and the steps are all icy and I slip and I slide? And I fall off the stairs and I land on my sled and I shoot down the hill heading straight for the shed. Oh my goodness, he goes, whoa, 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 and he's gonna hit the sled. Whoosh. And I can't stop the sled and the wind bites my nose and I can't see a thing because my eyeballs are froze. And I keep going faster and faster and faster and I know this is going to end in disaster. And then all at once, I slam into the shed. And an icicle falls off and it lands on my head. And I fall over backwards and I land in the snow and I'm buried right there for an hour or so. And I wiggle and I struggle and I'm totally trapped. And to make matters worse, my lips get chapped. Oh no. And I finally get out, and I feel like a wreck, and 10 tons of snow has gone down the back of my neck, and it starts to melt, and it drips everywhere, and it flows like a stream through my long underwear. Oh no. And my mittens are soggy, and they smell like old cheese, and my nose starts to run, and my boogers all freeze, and I can't wipe them off because they're frozen in place. But I try, and my mitten gets stuck to my face. Oh no. And I can't pull it off, and I try, and at last I give up, and I just start to cry. And I sob, and I weep, and I bawl like a nut, and the teardrops stream down, and my eyelids freeze shut. Look, he's walking and crying and walking and crying. What's gonna happen? And I can't see a thing, and I trip and I fall, and I roll down the hill like a giant snowball. And I tumble and bounce, and I shudder and bump, and I see that I'm speeding straight toward a big jump. Look at his face. And I surge off the jump and up into the sky. I keep going up until I'm 6 miles high. And then I start falling. I drop like a brick, and I plummet so fast that I'm gonna get sick. And my stomach feels queasy, my head starts to ache, and I rocket toward earth, and I land, splash, in a lake. And I smash through the ice, and I go into the drink, and my brain freezes up so I can hardly think. Look at him, he's freezing. And I swim to the surface, and I sputter and cough, and I climb through the hole, and my boots both fall off, and my toes gets really cold, and they freeze on the spot, and I try to walk home, but I find I cannot. My clothes are all soaked, and they're starting to freeze. I can't bend my arms, and I can't bend my knees. And I can't move an inch, and I can't do a thing, and I'm stuck on the lake till the middle of spring. Then the sun warms the world with its radiant glow, and I'm starting to melt like I'm made out of snow. And little by little, and day after day, I get smaller and smaller, and then I just melt away. Well, I've thought it through, and I have had to decide that it is simply not safe to go playing outside. I'll drink my hot chocolate, and I'll sit by the fire and warm my toes up until I perspire. He would rather be inside. But what if I'm sitting here warming my toes and a hot chocolate marshmallow gets stuck on my nose? Oh, that would be horrible. Well, thank you very much for joining me for Storytime today. Keep reading, have fun, and visit your favorite Midpoint library. See you soon. Bye.